Then it really hit me. I'm on the moon. I'm on the moon. And you kept thinking, nobody's ever been here before. My footstep is the first time there's been a footstep in that spot.
Imagine being over 200,000 miles from home, in a place quieter than any silence on Earth. You're one of only 12 people in history to stand there. Every move you make is watched by the entire world. Now imagine seeing something impossible, a shape moving where nothing should move. That's the story of astronaut Charles Duke. For years, he shared tales of the Apollo 16 mission.
If you don't believe it, all you got to do is go to nasa.gov and search Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and the orbiter has taken pictures of every Apollo landing site.
But he always left one part out. Before his last breath, the astronaut decided the world needed to know what he really saw up there. It wasn't just dust and craters. Something else was on the moon, the secret of Descartes Highlands. The airless void of the moon is a place of absolute silence and brutal stillness. On April 21st, 1972, astronaut Charles Duke was driving the lunar roving vehicle across a crater-pocked landscape known as the Descartes Highlands. This was a place of magnificent, empty beauty. The sun beat down with an unfiltered intensity, creating shadows as sharp as glass. Everything was exactly as science had predicted, until it wasn't. During one of their 3 moonwalks, John Young, the mission commander, stopped the rover. Duke's job was to handle observations and tools, his eyes constantly scanning the alien terrain. That's when he saw it. For less than a second, a dark shape darted across the corner of his visor. It was a blink and you'll miss it moment. The thing nobody tells you about being on the moon is how your mind can play tricks on you. Reflections inside the helmet, flashes of light, your own shadow moving unexpectedly, all are common. Duke's first thought was that it was just a reflection. But this was different. The movement was too quick, too deliberate. It was a solid, dark shape, and it moved with an impossible speed along a distant ridgeline before vanishing. It wasn't a trick of the light. It was an object in motion where nothing should be moving at all. The entire event lasted no more than a moment, but the image was burned into his memory. Many people are crazy about finding proof of extraterrestrial life, but Duke was a trained professional, a military pilot, and a man of science. He had a mission to complete, with a checklist that stretched for pages. Every second on the lunar surface was worth a fortune, planned down to the tiniest detail. There was no room in the schedule for reporting a shadow. What would he even say? "Houston, I think I saw something dark move really fast." They would have told him to check his oxygen levels. So, he did what any astronaut would do. He pushed it down. He dismissed it, focusing on the tasks at hand, not breathing a word of it to John Young or to the thousands of people listening in at Mission Control. For the rest of the mission, and for decades that followed, the sighting remained his private burden, a chilling secret from over 238,000 miles away. For years, when he revisited the official Apollo 16 mission footage, he could never find it. But in his mind's eye, it was always there, a dark shape moving against the bright, dead surface of the moon. You see, the lunar rover itself was a marvel of engineering, a 10-foot-long, 7-foot-wide electric vehicle that could hit a top speed of about 11 miles per hour. This wasn't some slow-moving cart, yet the object Duke saw was so fast that it made the rover look like it was standing still. Later in life, Duke would finally locate a grainy piece of video that captured the anomaly. The scale of the object was what truly startled him. Based on its distance, this shadow appeared to be massive, almost rivaling the size of the rover itself. It wasn't a small rock kicked up by the wheels. It was something large, something fast, and something that had no business being there. This was the terrifying secret he kept. The weight of this secret would follow him for the rest of his life. The men who chased the sun. To understand the weight of Charles Duke's secret, you have to understand the sheer magnitude of his journey. The Apollo 16 mission, launched in April of 1972, was the 10th manned mission in the Apollo program and the 5th to land on the moon. The goal was to explore the lunar highlands, a region believed to be formed by volcanic activity. The rocket that carried them, the Saturn V, was a beast of unimaginable power. standing at a staggering 363 feet tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty. It was, and still is, the most powerful rocket ever built. It generated 7.5 million pounds of thrust at liftoff, consuming fuel at a rate of 20 tons per second. The force was so immense that it would violently shake the ground for miles around. Charles Duke, John Young, and Ken Mattingly were strapped into a tiny capsule at the very top of this controlled explosion. Duke was the lunar module pilot, meaning he was responsible for co-piloting the landing craft, the Orion, onto the moon's surface. At just 36 years old, he became the 10th and youngest person to walk on the moon. The journey itself took 3 days. 3 days spent in a space the size of a large car, hurtling through the black, unforgiving vacuum of space. The thing nobody tells you is the sheer isolation. Earth shrinks behind you until it's just a beautiful blue and white marble hanging in an endless night. There's no up or down, just the hum of the machinery keeping you alive. Their landing site, the Descartes Highlands, was chosen for its unique geology. It was a rugged, hilly area completely different from the flat plains, or seas, where previous missions had landed. The mission was a resounding success. Duke and Young spent just over 71 hours on the lunar surface, almost 3 full days. They conducted 3 separate moonwalks, totaling more than 20 hours. They drove the lunar rover for over 16 miles, venturing farther from their lander than anyone had before. They collected over 210 pounds of lunar rocks and soil samples, providing a treasure trove of data that scientists are still studying today. They were national heroes performing a dangerous job flawlessly. This is the context in which Duke saw his anomaly. It wasn't a casual glance. It was a moment of profound strangeness in an environment of extreme focus and high stakes. Admitting to seeing something unexplainable could have jeopardized not just his reputation, but the integrity of the entire mission in the eyes of the public. But other astronauts had seen strange things too. They just didn't talk about it. What NASA didn't want you to know. Charles Duke's decision to stay silent was not made in a vacuum. You see, there's an unspoken rule among pilots and astronauts. Don't report the unexplainable. Many people are crazy about UFOs and alien encounters, but for a professional test pilot or astronaut in the mid-20th century, reporting strange lights or objects was a career-ending move. It was a one-way ticket to a desk job or a psychological evaluation. The pressure to stick to the mission parameters was immense. This unofficial code of silence is a key reason why so many potential sightings from the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs have only surfaced decades later, told in memoirs or quiet interviews. The thing nobody tells you is that Duke was far from alone. Several other astronauts have hinted at seeing things they couldn't explain. Gordon Cooper, one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, was one of the most outspoken. Long after he retired, he claimed to have seen unidentified objects multiple times during his career as a pilot and an astronaut. He even testified before the United Nations, insisting that these objects were real and deserved serious scientific study. Then there's the famous case of Apollo 11. According to some accounts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin saw strange lights or even structures in a crater during their historic moon landing. This story has been fueled for years by amateur radio operators who claim to have intercepted a secret medical channel where Armstrong described these objects. NASA has always vehemently denied this, stating it's a complete fabrication. The story of James McDivitt on Gemini 4 is another compelling piece of the puzzle. He photographed an object in orbit that he described as a cylindrical shape with an arm-like appendage. He never claimed it was an alien spacecraft, but to this day, he maintains that he has no idea what it was. The official explanation from investigators was that it was likely just a piece of debris or another satellite, but McDivitt never accepted that conclusion. These stories, whether fact or fiction, created an atmosphere where an astronaut like Charles Duke would have been extremely hesitant to report a fleeting shadow. He was a team player, a military man dedicated to the success of his mission. In his mind, his unexplained sighting was a personal problem, not a mission-critical event. Reporting it would have created a storm of controversy and distraction that neither he nor NASA wanted. The focus was on science, exploration, and beating the Soviets, not on chasing shadows. This left Duke with a choice: bury the secret or one day tell the world. beyond the shadow. So, did Charles Duke really see a massive, high-speed alien craft on the moon and cover it up for 50 years? The truth, as it often is far more human and, in some ways, more profound. The narrative of a terrifying secret revealed on his deathbed is a dramatic story that has grown on the internet, fueled by our fascination with the unknown. While Duke has acknowledged the strange, fleeting moment with the shadow, he has never claimed it was an alien ship. He describes it simply as an unexplained anomaly, a moment that didn't make sense, not as definitive proof of extraterrestrial visitors. The real, life-altering experience he had on the moon, the one he speaks about with deep passion and conviction, was not about aliens, but about faith. He talks about how looking at Earth from the moon solidified his beliefs, an awe-inspiring moment that became the central message of his post-NASA life. And he did leave a secret on the moon, but it was an act of love. He left a plastic-wrapped photo of his family on the lunar dust, a touching, human gesture that remains his true, planned lunar secret. But for many, that's not enough. An unexplained, rover-sized object moving at impossible speeds can't just be brushed aside, and that's where the wild theories begin. One of the most popular theories suggests that what Duke saw wasn't a clunky metal ship, but something far more advanced, a form of alien biodrone or a shadow sentinel. Proponents of this idea claim that an intelligent civilization wouldn't send massive, obvious ships to observe a new species. Instead, they would deploy stealthy, semi-living scouts, probes that could move with incredible speed and blend into the shadows of the craters, their only job being to watch and report back. What Duke saw, they argue, was one of these sentinels getting careless for a split second, a cosmic scout accidentally revealing itself before vanishing back into the lunar landscape it calls home. But not all theories point to the stars. Another, more terrestrial explanation is steeped in the paranoia of the Cold War. The thing nobody tells you is that the space race wasn't just about exploration. It was a battle for technological supremacy. What if the shadow wasn't alien, but human? Some believe it was a top-secret next-generation Soviet spycraft, or even a black-budget American military vehicle that not even NASA was told about. In this version of the story, Duke accidentally witnessed a piece of technology that was 50 years ahead of its time, something so secret that admitting to its existence would have shattered the global balance of power. The order to stay silent wouldn't have come from a fear of public panic over aliens, but from the highest levels of national security. Then there are the ideas from the very edge of science fiction. Many people are crazy about the concept of other dimensions. These theorists propose that the moon, with its unique gravitational properties and lack of a strong magnetic field, could be a place where the fabric of reality is thin. What if the shadow wasn't a physical object at all, but an interdimensional glitch, a momentary bleed-through from a parallel universe, a world existing right alongside our own? In this scenario, Duke didn't see a ship or a drone, but a fleeting glimpse of another reality that briefly overlapped with his. So what do you believe? Was it an alien scout ship, a trick of the light, or something else entirely? Let us know your theories in the comments below. Like this video if you learned something new, and subscribe for more secrets from the final frontier.